kids need the materials for them to understand. So this is why they spend huge money to procure not only textbook but workbook and also guide for teacher. Because we also have, if you go back to the education sector analysis, we have issue with what we call pedagogy. Pedagogy is the method a teacher uses to teach. And using pedagogy, it must be in line with what? Lesson plan.
Alfonso said the development of a teacher management information system to handle teacher licensing, employment records, and grievance redress mechanisms has enabled the licensing of about 5,000 teachers to strengthen professionalism and standards in the teaching field. The training for about 57,000 teachers, provision of 367 additional classrooms equipped with water sanitation and hygiene facilities were among the other achievements he highlighted. Amongst these goodies, Alfonso Mali said, non-timely payment of school subsidies is affecting the gains of the free education projects, calling on government to provide subsidies on time.
It's the most difficult and important components. Catch them when they are young. It has to do with foundational learning. Specifically what these projects have done, they've printed textbook and workbook and guide for pupils in P1. Literacy. The GPE project deals with numeracy. For this free education project, they deal with what? Literacy, P1 materials to support pupils. This project have trained 10,700 primary 1 teacher. Mark you, the UN Secretary General have 5 champions for education all around the world. President Bio is fortunate to be the champion of foundational learning.
Inadequate or poor communication of the project and the activities of the ministry, Alfonso Mali mentioned, was another major challenge of the project. He therefore called on donors to extend the time of the project, emphasizing that there is more need to be done.
Also, the Ministry of Education have the 60 toll-free line. But most of the time, this line is off. And that is the biggest challenge. Yes, we have it. Because, for instance, when interview is being conducted in school for especially the NPSC, if you discover any malpractice, the very easiest way to access the ministry to report is by using this toll-free line. Your identity will not be disclosed. But complaint you have been getting from the public that most time they call this line, the line will be off.
For SLBC, Estanine Kamara reporting.
Paramount chiefs across the country have taken the center stage to end the spread of mpox by introducing a pragmatic approach that goes in line with the government strategies. This time, they are proposing to implement Ebola bylaws while restricting all traditional medications after 60 days, ensuring full compliance till the disease totally ceased. As Moses Conte reports, this was brought to the fore during a 2-day regional and national level interaction review for mpox response stakeholders plenary.
The closing of the 2 days regional and national level intra-action review for mpox response stakeholders plenary meeting was for stakeholders to explore on possibilities to eradicate mpox by the end of August. District Medical Officer, Western Area Urban, Dr. Yumba Fasuluku, informed his audience that the country's mpox cases have decreased from 3 digits to 1, adding that the progress came about concerted efforts and consultative engagement across the country.
Came about because of concerted efforts and intersectoral engagement with universities, engagement with district structures, councils, councillors, engagement with traditional leaders, and also engagement with students, universities, and also bringing a multidisciplinary team.
While some stakeholders preferred major steps in combating the spread of mpox, including proper coordination, surveillance, point of entry and vaccination.
We've put any intervention in place. Surveillance has been heightened at the communities. With community engagement has been done. Laboratory capacity has been improved. So many people have been trained. I think the awareness for mpox has increased, and most importantly, so many high-risk individuals have been vaccinated.
This time, they are proposing to take the lead role in the eradication of the mpox by the end of August this year. According to the National Finance Secretary, Council of Paramount Chiefs, Sierra Leone, PC by Bevo Mambole Ashani III, they are proposing to implement Ebola bylaws, which restricting all traditional medications after 60 days, ensuring full compliance till the disease totally ceased. Other local leaders called for the need to conduct community dialogue sessions, empowered local champions, reviewed and tailored messages to fit targeted populations, print and distribute sensitization materials, among others.
There are already existing bylaws, but we recommended that the bylaws have to be updated so that they can suit the mpox disease, because we know in the past we've had bylaws for COVID and Ebola, but these are different compared to mpox.
At least we have to educate our people to make sure that they get the vaccine, and whenever they get the symptom of the mpox, they report to the nearest PHUs or they go to the hospitals, that they should not rely on any other medication but to go to the hospitals for a proper checkup.
As Sierra Leone makes positive impact in the reduction of mpox cases across the country, stakeholders and development partners have pledged their commitment to do their best in ensuring compliance in 2 months. Moses Conte, SLBC.
Now, for the first time, the launch of the Special Care Baby Unit CSBU initiative in 2017, Sierra Leone has achieved a national average survival rate of 90% for babies admitted to SCBUs, surpassing the long-standing national target and signaling a major breakthrough in neonatal care. Susan Edbati has more.
According to the Ministry of Health, over half of all special care baby units across the country are now meeting or exceeding the 90% benchmark, with facilities in Cambia, Koidu, Kabala, Kailaun, and Bonth leading at 94%. Other units, include the Olajurin Children's Hospital, have also made steady progress. Minister of Health, Dr. Austin Demby, hailed the achievement as a testament to sustained investment in neonatal care, citing improvements in equipment management, clinical training, and the adoption of newborn-focused innovations, such as kangaroo mother care. He underscored that KMC, an approach that uses continuous skin-to-skin contact between caregiver and newborn, has shown remarkable results. The Minister of Health noted that between March and June 2025, 199% or low birth weight babies received KMC, compared to just 45 before the training rollout. Survival among these babies reached an impressive 98%. Dr. Demby said all 17 SCBUs are now uploading monthly data to the National Health Information System, ensuring better tracking and accountability.
This is incredible. This is just for the last 6 months of review. And you know what? This is not just a corner issue. We have a small booklet that we're handing out that showed that Cambia had 98%. Koidu had 95%. Bonth had 94%. Jui had 91%. The national average was 90%. This is a real opportunity for celebration here.
In a separate development, the Ministry of Health has responded to reports suggesting Sierra Leone risks delay in vaccine procurement due to outstanding co-financing payments to Gavi. Citing a letter from Gavi, dated 25th June 2025, some media outlets claimed the country could face a 3-month vaccine supply disruption endangering children's health. However, the ministry dismissed these reports as misguided, stating that Sierra Leone remains one of Gavi's strongest partners, maintaining more than 90% vaccine coverage for key vaccines over the past 5 years and receiving commendations from both Gavi and UNICEF earlier this year.
We have ranked top in the continent for 5 consecutive years. Whilst countries are figuring 50%, 60%, 70%, we have consistently recorded over 90% year in, year out for the past 5 years, and even the 6th year, I think we're in that realm. Gavi trusts Sierra Leone as one of the greatest partners in delivering vaccines, not only for our coverage, but also the mix of vaccines that we have and the technical expertise that we've built in country.
While the SUBU survival milestone is being celebrated, the ministry emphasized the need to further expand KMC access, noting that current coverage reaches only 13% of those eligible. For SLBC News, Esther Suzanette Bassi reporting.
For the past few weeks, there has been a reduction in the number of mpox cases leaving the country in single digits for the past 3 days in the month of August. Accordingly, the National Public Health Agency Sierra Leone partners have commenced a 2-day regional and national level interaction review for mpox response plenary meeting with stakeholders across the country. The Deputy Executive Director, National Public Health Agency, Dr. Mohammed Alex Fandi, says they have adjusted their strategy to ensure no mpox cases go to any hospital before the ending of August. Moses Kante has a story.
Since the disease's outbreak in Sierra Leone, monkeypox, commonly called mpox, has prompted the government of Sierra Leone and development partners through the National Public Health Agency to apply efforts to combat its spread, particularly in the Western area urban, being the epicenter. Thus comes about an intra-action review for mpox to look at possible ways to combat its spread. According to the Deputy Executive Director, National Public Health Agency, Dr. Mohammed Alex Vandi, Sierra Leone registered its first mpox cases on the 10th of January 2025, and from that time, there have been cumulatively 5,180 mpox cases. However, for the past few weeks, there has been rapid reduction in the number of cases leaving the country in a single digits for the past 3 days in the month of August. He therefore outlined the national plan to be developed to achieve 0 mpox cases by the end of August.
Now, as of yesterday, we have got cumulatively 5,180 cases. For the past few weeks, we have noticed drastic reduction in the number of cases. So since that reduction is going, we are now in the single digit. So basically, we have moved the outbreak to the point where we want to crush the boundary by end of August.
For the country to continue with no mpox cases, paramount chiefs are key players. According to the National Finance Secretary, Council of Paramount Chiefs, Sierra Leone, PC by Bavo Mambole Ashani III. Initially, they had conducted community meetings and engagement, but since the president had laid emphasis on the need for total eradication of mpox in the country, they as paramount chiefs will implement the Ebola outbreak bylaws to ensure compliance to complement national strategies.
One of the Ebola bylaws prevents traditional medicinal people to cease operating in Sierra Leone. As I did say it in this meeting, for now we are going to hold meetings at our district levels to stop all traditional medications until after 60 days mpox is no longer in Sierra Leone, then they can resume.
Western area urban has been the epicenter, recording the highest number of mpox cases. In the past 6 months, it has sparked fear among citizens on the possibility to escalate. According to the district medical officer, Western area urban, Dr. Yumba Fasuluku, In the past few months, Sierra Leone's history of mpox cases has moved from 3 digits to 1, adding that the progress came with concerted effort and consultative engagement across the country while bringing in multidisciplinary medical team. She emphasized on what led to the decrease and challenges posed.
So we see that one thing that actually stood out in this response is that as a ministry and as a country, we have people in country with the capacity to respond to the outbreak. Whilst previous outbreaks, we used to have experts. We had challenges in terms of human, financial, and logistical resources. But along the line, we've been able to address most of that.
The enhanced integrated strategy has played a pivotal role toward ensuring mpox cases reduced in the country. According to the Operations Chief, Mpox Response Sierra Leone, Dr. Mustafa Chalo, the strategy was designed in the past 1 month and has been implemented for the past 2 weeks, incorporating all stakeholders. He placed emphasis on what the strategy looks like in response to curtailing the increase of mpox cases.
The enhanced response strategy looked at surveillance, risk communication, community engagement, vaccination, case management, as the name implies, integrated. So we expect the CHWs and other peer supervisors to conduct active case search at community level.
The WHO representative, Dr. George Ame, emphasized the importance for Sierra Leone's health security, pointing out key perimeters in ensuring the spread of mpox is curtailed.
So that engagement with the community is one lesson that we've learned early. Another lesson that we learned when it comes to people who are positive, of course they come, we test them, they're positive, then we allow them to go home, to continue their treatment at home. But we saw that the cases started spreading. So that was why we had to change our strategy in April to bring those who are sick under facility hospital care.
Sierra Leone has made positive impacts so far in the reduction of mpox cases, and the 2 days engagement was to ensure improved measures have been put in place by the end of August. Moses Conte, SLBC.
Well, it's now time for our international news. This is the international news with me, Esther Suzanette Bassi. The US and China have extended their trade for 90 days, just as before the world's 2 biggest economies were set to raise tariffs on imports of each other's goods. US President Donald Trump signed an executive order to keep the pause in place until 10 November, while Beijing also announced an extension. Washington had threatened trade taxes as high as 145% on Chinese products earlier this year, with Beijing hitting back with 125% duties on US shipments. A spokesperson for the Chinese embassy in Washington said, "Win-win cooperation between China and the United States is the right path. Suppression and containment will lead nowhere." China also called on the US to lift its unreasonable trade restrictions, work together to benefit companies on both sides, and maintain the stability of global semiconductor production. European leaders have warned against Ukrainian borders being withdrawn by force 3 days before Russia's Vladimir Putin and US President Donald Trump are due to hold a summit on Ukraine in Alaska. In a statement, European leaders said the people of Ukraine must have the freedom to decide their future. The statement was signed by 26 of 27 leaders. Missing from the signatories was Hungary's leader Viktor Orban, who has maintained friendly relations with Russia and has repeatedly tried to block European Union support for Ukraine. The statement underscored the nervousness felt by Europeans about Moscow's actions in Ukraine, which many countries, particularly those bordering Russia or those in which the memory of Soviet occupation still lingers, believe could pose a direct threat in the near future. Thousands of North Koreans are being sent to work in slave-like conditions in Russia to fill a huge labor shortage exacerbated by Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine.
Now, with many of Russia's men either killed or tied up fighting or having fled the country, South Korean intelligence officials have told the BBC that Moscow is increasingly relying on North Korean laborers. They detailed how the men are subjected to abysmal working conditions and how the North Korean authorities are tightening their control over the workers to stop them escaping. The conditions are truly abysmal, said a professor at South Korea's Donghae University, who has traveled to Russia multiple times to interview North Korean laborers. The workers are exposed to very dangerous situations. At night, the lights are turned out and they work in the dark with little safety equipment. And finally, in the international news, the Nigerian Air Force has killed scores of gunmen known locally as bandits who were members of criminal gangs operating in Zamfara State, the military has said. The Air Force said in a statement on Monday that it carried out a raid in northwest Nigeria, which was the hideout of the gunmen who are believed to be behind some high-profile kidnappings in the area. The air strikes, in coordination with attacks on the ground, led to the deaths of several notorious bandit kingpins and scores of their foot soldiers. Air Force spokesperson said the bandits, motivated by financial gain, have also increased their cooperation with jihadist groups that have been waging a 16-year armed insurgency in the northeast. But that's all for the international news with me, Esther Susanette Slbc. Thanks for watching. Continue to stay glued.
Thanks to Esther Susanette Slbc for the international news. Now let's find out the latest in sports.
Hello there and welcome to the sporting updates that keeps you in the know. And by the way, my name is Abdul Kabir and thank you so much for your time. It's International Youth Day and we want to celebrate our very many young female footballers who are excelling in football in Sierra Leone and around the world. For Ranke Football Club, they are the champions in Sierra Leone in terms of female football, and they are currently representing Sierra Leone in Senegal in the WAFU A CAF Women's African Champions League qualifiers, even though they suffered a 1-0 defeat to Bear Wuleng, a team from the Gambia, but they visibly demonstrated their commitment to represent Sierra Leone proudly on the international stage. For Ranke, a team with such a character is fully a team to reckon with because they've dominated the big names in Sierra Leone, including the back-to-back champions, Mogbemo Queens, and a host of other top teams in Sierra Leone, FC Calon Female, among other teams. So it's a huge day for youth across Sierra Leone and for female footballers who are showcasing the beauty of the game as well. Now we keep our attention to another interesting development that has to do with the game for Sierra Leonean footballers who are making inroads around the world. Well, Sule Kaika scored for Cambridge United his first goal of the season, an exciting one for this promising Sierra Leonean player as well. Now Ibrahim Toure, otherwise known as Computer, is set to join a new club. Well, in Iceland, this move will mark a turning point for the Sierra Leonean player who has been so helpful and supportive to the Borangers Football Club, and for him this will be a decent move that will create huge fortunes for him as well. Saïdou Fofana, otherwise known as Okocha, is also performing well, and that of Mohamed Bouya Touré in Kazakhstan, they are representing Sierra Leone proudly as well. So our youth are doing so well in sports, primarily football. So we want to wish all and sundry happy International Youth Day, our sportsmen and women. That ends your update, and thank you so much for your time.
Hi, many thanks to Abdul Kabir for that sport update, and that's where we draw the curtain down on this edition of News Hour. Now to end the news with top stories again. Sierra Leone has joined the rest of the world to celebrate International Youth Day with the theme Youth Empowerment through Agriculture, Climate Change, Skills, Technology and Innovation. In two separate events by the Ministry of Youth, Amnesty International and other partners, the celebration created platforms for young leaders, lawmakers and stakeholders to discuss innovative solutions and collaborative efforts aimed at empowering youth in the country. Budget Advocacy Network has raised grave concerns over non-disbursement of funds to local councils across Sierra Leone for the 2025 fiscal year by the central government. The disbursement of funds to local councils, according to the coordinator of BAN, Abubakar Kamara, is a statutory obligation and if not done could undermine the council's ability to render basic services to millions of citizens. And the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation and State House have opened a book of condolence for the late Hawa Mosie. Families, dignitaries and mourners gathered at Broadcasting House on New Englandville to pay respect to a woman whose voice touched lives and bridged political divide. Well, that's the end of the news from the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation in Freetown. Thanks for watching and do continue to stay tuned to your public broadcaster, the Slbc. Coming up next is Good Morning Sierra Leone. I am Cecilia Alice. Goodbye.
It's been a long day without you, my friend, and I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. We've come a long way from where we began. Oh, I'll tell you all about it when I see you again. When I see you again.
Damn, who knew? All the planes we flew, good things we've been through, that I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days.